listen to it. All right, hey everybody. Today we are driving a 2001 Honda S2000. My buddy Chris, the Topher on YouTube, lent me his car for a bit, and we're just gonna have a lot of fun. I've driven this car once for about like 5 minutes, and that's my only experience with an S2000. So I have always really liked these cars a lot. They've never made sense in terms of like my budget because S2000s are kind of getting expensive, but if you can find an example like this, which Chris has, these can be a very, very amazing sports car. This car has 147,000 miles, but you wouldn't really know it just by looking at it. There's a lot of cars that are 1 or 2 years old now that look in way worse shape. The AP1 Honda S2000 makes around 240 horsepower, I think 153 foot-pounds of torque, and it makes all the power right up top, 9,000 RPM, the high revving engine that S2000s are known for. Chris has done a couple mods to make it sort of an OEM plus. For one thing, he's done a lot of sort of maintenance mods. He's done the engine mounts, the transmission mounts, the diff mounts, all OEM to make it kind of a bit more refreshed. Tires, he's rocking Potenza RE71 RS's. I think these are 205 squared, so it's a square setup. Very, very grippy tires. He also has essentially a muffler bypass. It's the UK exhaust mod. I don't know a lot about it, but apparently it's a very cheap mod and you can kind of, make it sound a little bit more aggressive without having any drone or, installing an entire aftermarket exhaust. Oh yeah, such a long hood. And here we are. It's hilarious how much space is between the front of the car and the actual engine. This is like 3 feet of room. It's crazy how far the engine is just pushed back for that weight distribution. Probably also has the largest air intake box I've ever seen in my entire life. Massive. And overall, things are pretty easy to work on in this engine bay, I feel like. Everything is kind of spaced out. It's a very long engine bay. If you have to reach the back of the motor, that might suck, but the front with all the belts is so accessible. That's really great to see. In the trunk, because it is a car from 2001. Go ahead and open that bad boy. It actually is a decent amount of room. I think if I remember correctly, this is more than my Miata. So there's a one-up on that. You can actually shove some stuff back there if you wanted to. But hey, you can fit camera gear. You can fit some stuff for your track day. It's a decent space. Definitely not, gonna be hauling a bunch of stuff, but it's fine for a little bit. The inside, love these seats. These red seats, bright red, make it just look so interesting. Hopping inside, the seating position feels like a sports car. You have a nice small steering wheel, same one from the RSX. I actually test drove one like 3 years ago. Quite liked it, and it's good now as well. Pretty small. All the HVAC controls are actually right on the driver's side. So, if you need to quickly bump up the AC, you totally can. It also has an engine start button, but not an engine stop button. I was told that when people press this while the car is running, it can damage some stuff. So when you're turning it off, make sure you actually just turn the key and remove it. The soft top is power retractable. We're gonna be running with it up, and then I'll put it down the last half of the video, get some fun. These seats are fairly bolstered. I could definitely see on track maybe using an upgrade, but for street, I think that these are great seats and they just look really good with this red, bright red color. You get some storage back here, just a little cubby. Find that, you can fit some good stuff in there. NC Miata has a similar cubby. Wind deflector back here, that's nice to see. And yeah, honestly, that's kind of it. Most people buy an S2000 to drive with it. Nice. These gauges are awesome. You'll see later in the video, I think they look just so good for the era. Shifter is very awesome. It's a really cool feeling transmission, and it's funny the differences between the S2000 and my old 8th gen Civic, which were around the same period, but this just feels different. It's more crisp, it's short, It's very short, actually. The clutch is very springy and it grabs all the way at the top. It took me a while to get used to, but now that I'm used to it, it's fine. It's a very springy clutch, and I'm not kidding when I say it engages right at the top. Let's see how it sounds. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Squirrel. Immediately you notice how just lightweight this car is. I think it's around 2,800 pounds. Could be a little bit off on that. You know, honestly, like, there's no replacement for weight. You can tell a light car from a heavy car in every other aspect. Like, it's hard to replace a lightweight chassis. It really is. The revs are very free revving. Oh, it reminds me of my old Civic Si. It really does. Oh yeah, great brakes. Very planted in the corners. Oh, that sound. Oh, it sounds great. A lot of wind noise with a soft top. It's definitely not, you know, a luxury cruiser, if I'm being honest. Kind of having to yell. Suspension is actually really composed. Like, that bridge felt like nothing. The alignment is great. I don't feel like it's very darty. I know Chris, he did an aftermarket alignment, so he has, you know, a bit more negative camber front and rear, but it doesn't feel super darty. It feels like a very normal car just going in a straight line. But back there, handling wise, it's really awesome. You know, besides the wind noise, it's actually really comfortable on the highway. Like, this is a very comfy suspension, but somehow they made it handle very, very well. So that's really surprising. I was expecting it to be kind of harsh and crashy when you hit bumps, but it's really composed. Downshifting, so fun. I'm in love with the sound. It sounds so good. It's so violent once you get into the higher RPMs, around like 8,000. Visibility is, I'd say, okay. You know, honestly, rear visibility is pretty good. Blind spots are definitely large, especially on the driver's side. I remember my Miata was similar, so I think that's kind of just an issue of being a two-seater convertible. You're just gonna kind of have that regardless. Chris actually added some wide-angle mirrors, and I think those help a lot. Let's see how the heel toe is. Pretty good. Yeah, very easy to heel and toe. Oh, it loves to rev. It loves being as high as possible. Right at 9,000, that's where this car lives. And it's funny, a lot of the Hondas of this era have sort of like a two-toned personality. Like, it's a very chill car when you're not trying to go fast. Like, it's really, you know, kind of easy to drive once you get a hang of the clutch. But, you know, once you kind of go for it, it just opens up. And the thing has just, it feels bipolar almost. A Honda S2000 is a car that I've always wanted to buy. Unfortunately, I think they're a little bit overpriced these days. AP1, AP2, it doesn't really matter. You're going to be paying $15,000 at least. And to me, like, yeah, it's a great car, but for $15,000 for, like, you know, a high mileage one, I don't know, man. That's pretty steep. And like, if you want an AP2, that's at least $20,000. It's a shame. It's a shame. I'll be honest, because I would love to own one of these, but I just don't know. I don't know if I could. To get the top down, press in, that releases. Same thing over here. Hit this button. Ah, okay, handbrake needs to be up. Interesting. There we go. And we're good. You know, it's funny, every once in a while I have a dream. I really hope that some old lady next to me who doesn't know how much these cars are worth decides to just get rid of it one day. That's my dream one day. It's just one day. That's all I have to keep telling myself. Now that I'm used to the clutch, it is pretty easy. It's just, it takes a little bit of a learning curve. You have to be a little smooth with it. Talk to it, whisper to it. Can't just kind of hop in and just dump it. Now we've got the open top life. Absolutely love it. Ah. The top-down experience is just such a good time. It makes the car just feel like you're out in the elements, like there's no kind of separation between the world and you. You can hear the exhaust, you can hear the tires. It's a really good feeling. It's very Miata-like. We'll say Miata came first. You know, it's funny, I've owned a Miata, an NB Miata. I want to buy an NC Miata. And it's hilarious how similar these cars are to each other. I mean, this is just sort of a Miata, I guess, a little bit on crack, if I'm being honest. I mean, just listen to it. It's kind of just a Miata that's going insane. I shouldn't discount the S2000 that much. I know that this car was a very, very special car for Honda at the time. It's a tribute, and they nailed it, in my opinion. I wish that they would make another S2000, but I don't know if that's gonna happen, to be honest. I would love it to. And now visibility is not an issue. I can see everything. What is that? Actually looks pretty nuts. That it looks like a time attack build. Some sort of BRZ. Poor guy. I'm really surprised at how stable this car is on the highway. It feels like it's just rock solid. It's so composed. Nice Accord. I'd actually love a Honda Accord V6. Those would be sweet. Sounds gnarly.